This is June 7th, the year 2013, and I'm standing here next to an old friend, Russell Connor. Russell, welcome.
Yes. How are you? Thank you, Fred.
When did you first appear on WGBH TV?
In my memory, it was around January 50 years ago in 1963. I was, first it was an audition, and then they double-crossed me and hired me, and I did for 4 years writer-host of a series called Museum Open House from the Boston Museum, otherwise known as the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston.
Very good. And how long did that last, Russ?
4 years, and I just got tired of it, and I regret that I didn't stay on it a little longer because I was doing a series about fine arts on black and white television.
All right.
After I left, they went to color. So someday maybe I'll have a chance to talk about art and color on television. Can we consider this an audition?
Yes. By the way, I also have checked in with archives, and they have a bunch of 2-inch tapes, and they have some other ones. They need to know what the names of the shows that you have so that they can check, okay?
Oh, well, I was hoping they would give me a list of what they had.
I will get that list for you.
I appreciate that.
You also went on to the Rose Arts.
Yes, I did. Later in the 60s, I became assistant director of the museum at Brandeis called the Rose Art Museum. And thanks to WGBH, after leaving the museum, I got hooked on video art because through you, I believe, I met Namjoon Paik, who has probably corrupted the lives of many otherwise innocent people. And I got swept away in the glamorous world of video art, and as assistant director at Brandeis, I put on the world's first museum exhibition of video art in 1970.
A quite tumultuous thing it was, too.
It was. It was very popular with dogs who they were attracted to the electronics.
Artists are always somewhat temperamental. That one had a few blow-ups here and there.
There were. I sort of rose above it. I think probably drinking a lot was a help.
You also appeared on a lot of my shows, and I thank you for that. Yeah, I think the worst one was where I had you in Kurt Vonnegut's Between Time and Timbuktu, and I made you the blind television director, and I gave you a dog that was a killer dog.
A police dog, a vicious police dog that I was supposed to be managing, and I couldn't. I was afraid, I was terrified, and I had to keep him away from eating the expensive talent whoever was the star of your show, and it was an ordeal, Fred, and I want to thank you for it. It helped plunge me into obscurity for a few years.
You also had quite a long run at the New York State Council on the Arts.
I did. That continues the video art motif because someone from the New York State Arts Council saw the show at Brandeis and invited me to come down and be the flack catcher, the guy who would deal with all the applicants of aspiring young video artists, who were a multitude at that time. The Arts Council had just gone from 2 million to 20 million to give away, and they needed someone to deal with all the video artists, and that was me.
Yeah, and you really supported some of the more important people who were coming out of the New York video art scene. Yeah,
well, I probably aside from continuing to work with Namjoon Paik, the most, how should we say, celebrated association I had was with Bill Viola, young Bill Viola, who I helped along the way, helped get a grant, and I'm very proud of. He has become much too famous now, and has forgotten about me completely. Never writes.
I also wanted to touch in that you were also the education director at the Whitney.
I was during the 80s. As you know, artists often need other employment than the revenue you get from selling a painting, and they were looking for someone to run the education department, and I took the job. And I did, I think, fairly a good job for 8 or 9 years.
You had some wonderful films.
Well, that was the best part for me because I produced films about their biennials, which found their way to PBS. And if you've ever seen a Whitney biennial, you know editing is a wonderful thing. You can leave out so much crap and just put in the good stuff. And that's what I did, and that was the best part of it. And of course, I confess, can I confess something
Sure,
on this?
of course.
The director of the museum thought I was off editing the film. I have to go, I'm sorry, working on editing the film. I was actually editing a painting back in my studio when I should have been working on the film. And now the world knows it, and it's too late. I think probably the statute of limitations has run out on this.
I think so. Russell, your work can be seen on a website. Could you please tell us what it is?
Yes, it's called russellconnor.com. I tried to think of something more inventive, but that's all I could come up with. And it tells the story of how I came to be doing these strange things, which really grew out of my work in museums and work in television. And it's about art history, and I chose as my subject the sort of muddled mental museum we all carry around because of the flood of art reproductions in the last 50 years. And I mixed them together, and in artful new ways. I'm sure the original masters would appreciate if they could see what I do with them.
I think you did the Blue Boy in many colors.
I did, yeah. I thought he'd been prancing around in lace and ribbons for 200 years. It's time he lightened up about color, so I did a gold boy and a silver boy and a red boy and a green boy, and I call the series Why Be Blue, which I think is a heartwarming message.
Thank you very much, Russ Connor. Okay.